Hello and welcome back to the ministry. And today we're talking about fear. Okay, fear. What is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, but evidence of the things that we do not see. We are in a battle on a daily basis, fighting with our faith that is evidence of what we don't see, coming against the fear of the false evidence that we do see. And because of that, we are in a war. Faith is not the absence of fear, but acknowledging the fact that it's there and doing whatever you have to anyway. This is being recorded on October 31st, one of the biggest and most highly celebrated days associated with fear that there ever was. Sometime towards the end of September, I recorded 1 to 2 words that talked about the types of things that the enemy was going to be doing in this season. You have to come into the recognition that the enemy is going to always bring up a spirit of intimidation just before a major breakthrough. You have to understand that with this, that you're going to get that false evidence. Matter of factually, the very thing that you are praying for, pressing for, and pushing towards is the very thing that they're going to create a level of false evidence that will appear real in order to subdue you into not moving at all. Fear is the absence of faith. Mark 4 and 40 states, "He said to the disciples, 'Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?' Fear is the absence of faith because the two cannot exist together in the same space. You are being ruled by two masters. You have to have faith or you have fear, one or the other. You either trust one and despise the other, or you despise one and trust the other." Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson says, or sums it up, shall I say, like this: "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. You see, inadequacy is something we are faced with every day. We can deal with that. No problem, because everyone exists in a space. But the one thing that is hardest for us to handle is our deepest fear. And that is that we are more powerful than we could imagine." So the question is, what if you are more powerful? What if you operated in that place of more powerful than you can imagine? A lot of us, we see situations, opportunities. You wrote a book, but why did you stop at writing the book? Did you stop at writing the book because you were afraid of what would happen when you published the book? Did you stop after you've written the book because if you publish the book, you may get too much attention to it? How do you know that you're not going to get attention? What's the fear that comes up when you think about this book? What's the fear that comes up when you think about having clientele? I was listening to my coach do a video this morning, and she was talking about, do you have the confidence to do the thing in which you have set out to do? And if you do have that confidence, then what is it that you're afraid of? What's the actual thing that you're fearful of? And sometimes I remember I was listening to Tiffany Montgomery do a Periscope a while back, and she said, if you have fear, sit down and write down the very things that you are afraid of. Then on the opposite side of the paper, write down all of the things that are opposite of that are going to build your faith so that you are not giving yourself into that level of fear. Because right now the enemy is out for blood. He knows that your marriage is going to bring about something. He knows your finances getting right is going to bring about something. He knows your family being restored is going to bring about something. He knows that your kids getting back in alignment in your household, that's going to bring about something. He knows that there is a level of a blessing that's going to come from that. He knows that musical album that you are terrified of releasing to the public is going to be a Grammy award winning album. He knows that if you actually start writing the music, you actually might win those ASCAPs that you fantasize about. He knows that you may have a voice that could be almost as impactful as a Maya Angelou, or if you go out speaking for a specific audience, you may have a voice that's just as impactful as an Angela Davis. He knows that. He knows that if you go out and you become an actress, you might actually be able to have a powerful role that is just as impactful as of a career as Angela Bassett. But you never know if you don't ever step out there and try it. You'll never know if you never step out there and do something different. If you've gotten to this level, what's preventing you from getting to that level? I remember years ago listening to Lisa Nichols, and she said that she had gotten to a financial level and she just couldn't break forth into $1 million, and she couldn't figure out why that was. And she had come to a point that she had to sit down with herself and understand that she was dealing with a level of fear of what would change if she made that shift. And she had to deal with the internal fear. And as soon as she dealt with the fear and she broke over that $1 million mark, she realized that everything was fine. There's a level of pressure that comes with success. There's a level of pressure that comes with financial success. There's a level of pressure that comes with money and all of these things. But you have to be willing to move past those things. You have to move past the fact that, yeah, as you grow, there are going to be spiritual things that are going to come against you to try to intimidate you back into your comfort zone. People that have higher positions trying to tell you that you could never make it to that level. People, circumstances that are going to fight you. And sometimes you think that the circumstances are fighting you to prevent you from getting there. Sometimes the circumstances are displacing themselves in order to give you the freedom to move there. Because if you have no ties that easily beset you, then you'll move quicker. A lot of us are so caught up in holding on to the things that we have around us that we don't want to move. So sometimes the Lord makes it unbelievably unbearable for you to stay in a situation. I was talking about this earlier. In order for you to move forward, and what the enemy will do is he'll come at your mind with doubt, fear, frustration. He'll pull up everything from your past, every past memory, every past thought, and bring up the emotion attached to those past memories and thoughts in order to bring you back to a place so that you will be live in that space of fear. What that fear made you feel. You aren't going through that experience right now, but what the enemy does is he pulls up that level of fear in order to control you with it. Yelling, confusion, all of these types of things. These are the tactics of the enemy. I've been having dreams as of lately that I was being yelled at for no reason from people. I even had a dream of my mother yelling at me about something. And I'm like, one, my mother ain't never yelled at me about anything. We had moments, but it was never her yelling. And I knew that I was dealing with a masquerading spirit. You have to be aware of those things. You have to understand that the closer you get to a breakthrough, the enemy knows he cannot physically stop you. So what he does is try to mentally block you so that you will physically stop moving forward. But guess what? The blessing's coming to chase you down. If you move, it's still coming to you. The only thing you can't do is move out of spiritual position to be able to receive it. And that's what the enemy wants. If he can get you to move in fear, you're no longer moving in faith, and the spiritual gears stop moving. You can be brilliant. You can have an IQ of 145. But you will dumb yourself down and make the people around you feel comfortable so that you can be comfortable being around those people. But an eagle can't hang around with chickens. A lion can't be encaged. But what do you mean? Lions are in the zoos. They're supposed to be out in the pride lands, not in a cage. They're supposed to be in open, free spaces. You do know that, right? If you don't, go watch Lion King. But you have to give yourself permission to walk into those levels and arenas that the Lord is trying to bring you into. You have to be willing to make the shifts necessary. Because it says in Jeremiah 1:5, New International Version, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. He created you with a plan. There was a plan that was set out beforehand that he was already going to make sure was going to come to pass. But what the enemy does is he tries to always throw a roadblock, a rock in front of your feet, a wedge in order to cause confusion, something in order to cause some type of conflict. Something to come against and climb up against the mountain. But El Shaddai is the mountain mover, so he can move those mountains, but you have to allow him to move those mountains. We all have potential, but most of us don't have tenacity, and the devil gets really afraid of people that have the tenacity to keep moving and the audacity to keep speaking in order to get whatever it was that was meant to be done. It's a quote that I live by. You have to be willing to do what others won't in order to get the result others can't get. And that means relinquishing your view and trying to control the outcome. God gives me an instruction. I move on it when he tells me to move on it. I do as much as I can in that moment. Then I'm like, God, what am I supposed to do next? That's what I always ask. If you are operating in your own control, guess what? You're not allowing God to lead you. You aren't. God says, go, you go. You have to operate in wisdom, but you have to operate and allow the Lord to lead you. So you have to be willing to stand for what it is and walk in the confidence of the beauty of the confidence of being in a level of independence and knowing that you can walk in that with confidence that everyone else feels it too. You can desire to have a business, but if you don't have the confidence to walk in the level of spiritual understanding and the confidence to walk in the confidence of your ability to speak to your clients, the ability to be comfortable with them, they won't want to spend money with you because of the fact that you're not confident. Coach was mentioning something like that this morning, and it makes sense. You have to have the confidence in which you desire for someone to come into. You can't be scared. You can't be afraid. You have to exude that. And some people, they just know how to turn themselves on. But some people, it can be difficult to be what's necessary for the people in which you're desiring to work with. Because it's that element of you have to be and show up as a confident person, but you also have to be yourself. Real, authentic, audacious, whatever that is. Now, if you are authentically bold, but sometimes being bold, it doesn't mean that you have to be a witch with a bee or any kind of thing. It means that, yeah, there are going to be moments that you have to exert your authority in the scenario and say, yes, the XYZ. But the element is you have to be wise as a serpent, but gentle as a dove. In your wiseness, you have to know how to operate in your boldness, but you still must be able to be gentle with everybody else. There are things that, as it comes down to it, because we are in this month, a lot of us are expecting certain blessings, certain breakthroughs, certain manifestations in this season. And as we are expecting these certain manifestations in this season, it feels like we're seeing the things that we're expecting. I talk a lot about marriage. I talk about business. I talk about relationship. I talk about all of these things. All of these are important if you are building your life. This is a lifestyle. And you're styling your own life to become what it is that's necessary in order for you to be able to achieve the things in which God has shown you that you're supposed to do. And some of us, we are in that season in which our partners are supposed to come in alignment with us. A 3-strand cord is not that easily broken. And you have to be evenly yoked. What the enemy will do is he will come against you through the people that are around you. I've said this, I've said it many times before. the closer you get to your marriage, you actually will find more and more people speaking against it. I know I'm in my marriage season. Why? Because on a daily basis, I'm hearing about things in relation to divorce. My father loves watching divorce court, paternity court, Jerry Springer, people cheating about and all that type of stuff. Jesus be offense, pray for me. Because this is what I hear and see. Not 24/7, because I be trying to keep one ear completely to God at all times, because I can't allow what he listening to, all that kind of stuff to get into my ear. Yeah, I hear it, but I can't allow it to affect me. I'm in a situation. I can't do anything about that. But that's the same thing like I was saying in the previous video, that when you know it's your time to move, you won't get uncomfortable. The things around you gonna make you uncomfortable. The things you eating gonna make you uncomfortable. The things you're hearing are gonna make you uncomfortable. It should. It means that you're growing and outgrowing the scenario that you're in. If you're comfortable all the time, that means you have not grown. You understand what I'm saying? So if you are in a season that you know it's time for your marriage and you're having thoughts and there are things around you that are trying to plant seeds and bring about confusion, and I thank God for people like Megan Michelle and the other people that I listen to, like Stephanie P, that literally have been talking about that the enemy is busy in this season. If it's time for your marriage, the enemy's out there trying to do splitting spells and trying to commit all kinds of heinous crimes against your ability to have peace. And the other day, it was something in relation to confirming, and I knew God was confirming it. I was literally not 5 minutes before. Not 5 minutes. I literally left the program I was watching, saw Megan go live, and she was talking about Jezebel's back. In the episode I was looking at of my show, the woman, at the very moment that she went live, was trying to seduce the main character's man while she wasn't there. As you're like, Jezebel's back trying to come after the man. I was like, Jesus Christ be offense. Why? Why? Because the enemy knows he can't come to you no more. But he knows that if your God-ordained spouse has a hole in him, baby, he can hit that spot right quick. If I can find an entry point. But bless Jesus, because the Lord showed me something the other night, and I believe it. And it was something that he showed even in the midst of her bringing up that live. She trying. Jessie's trying. But these men ain't taking it no more. I said it in the video that I did. The short video I did the other day. The men are no longer going to receive it. They are more than willing and more than understanding of the fact, I can't play this game no more. I'm not in here. It's not happening. Nope, nope, nope. She tries, but the access is denied. I saw a video. It was less than a month ago. And the woman was talking about the fact that these counterfeits are literally being sent to the door with their bags by the God-ordained spouses. They're like, no, you got to go. And as you're coming in, they going out. But fear, if you aren't in the picture, I'm going to tell you a trap that worked on me the other day. A video came up on my phone talking about they needs to break soul ties. I watched the video, but the woman created a picture that like, oh, the God ordained spouse is still sleeping with their counterfeit. And it's that element that when I saw that video, and I'm admitting it to this, when I saw that video, I went into prayer and I was like, Lord, if he is conscious enough and he's not out here doing nothing, don't let what I'm about to say come to his ears. But if he out here being shady of any kind of way and that the enemy is trying to do this, I want you to let him hear me say, get it together. I ain't playing with you. Because I was out here, I was like, I don't know what he got to do, but what I'm going to do is I'm about to go into my prayer closet. Because I know that worked. And you know what? That's what I did. Now, but my point being is, they may not have even been. And it was funny because even 70p had said a few days before, and I didn't even think about it. It didn't register. I was too mad angry that day that she had already said that the enemy is doing is bringing up stuff in order to create a false narrative in your mind to make you, with false evidence that appears real, false. There ain't nothing to say that that's the case. But if your brain can create the image, your brain will start to go off on what you think that you saw. False evidence appearing real. You will be literally freaking out in the spirit at your God ordained spouse for no reason, just because you can't see. And this is the thing. If you see it, that's one thing. If you see it with your eyes, that's one thing. If you can see your God ordained spouse and they're with you and you on a day-to-day basis and you see them, you can see, oh, ain't nothing going on here. It was something I was listening to somebody today, and they made a point of saying this, and it rubbed my entire system wrong. They said they hopped off and just went on a trip without letting the person that they were in relationship with know. And when the person found out, they were like, why didn't you tell me? And I've heard it was a scenario where the person was giving somebody advice and they said, oh, I have no problem with being married to my spouse and sleeping in separate bedrooms. Or, oh, you should have your own private account. Now, if you're married, I believe a husband should have his account, you should have your account, and the wife should have, y'all should have a joint account. Yes, but I don't think it should be a secret from your husband that you have a separate account. Because you don't want to breed mistrust, especially depending on the type of person that you're with. Maybe they had somebody that they knew that they could not trust, and you keeping secrets like money, sleeping in separate bedrooms, going off on vacations or trips without letting them know. What's that sound like to you? You may not even be doing anything wrong, but what's that sound like to you? Sound like you're cheating, right? Oh, okay. False evidence appearing real, right? Oh, okay. All right. You have to be cautious. You have to be open. You have to be aware. If you're in a relationship, you have to be acknowledging that person. You have to find out what their triggers are. And you can't be hiding stuff. Yeah, I do know of a married couple that what the wife did was she took the money from the account and she sold it. But I believe she let her husband know that she was doing this, though. She did let him know. The Lord blessed them for the sowing. But I mean, you have to be in alignment with God, and you can't be acting shady about certain things. If your spouse is um if your spouse is a representation of God, would you do that to him? Would you hide money from God? Meaning you're going to hold money away from God. Would you not talk to God about your plans of where you're going to go? Would you sleep separate from God, meaning not praying to God? Divide yourself from God. You know that's what all that sounds like. And I wanted to use that as an example because you don't want to create a level of fear. Or you don't want, not even in your spouse. That's why I'm using that as an example. You don't want to create fear in your spouse. You don't know what they've been through. So you don't want to, in this season, when you're getting ready for your marriage, understand that there are going to be things that are going to try to plant themselves in your mind to create levels of doubt and things that you should do. And it's like your spirit's going to say no. If your spirit says no, then it's a no. Don't allow yourself to walk in levels of fear when God's trying to open you up to freedom. Don't be caged in like that lion when he's supposed to be out in the pride lands, in freedom, able to run around. Use wisdom. Talk to God, because God is your number one, first source. Is God, husband. If God says go to your husband, then guess what? But I wanted to bless you with that. And I'm going to come back because I want to do a short prayer. So, and I'm going to allow you to see how I pray. Okay? This is going to be good. So, until next time, this is Love, Faith, Peace, and Blessings Ministries. Until next time, bye-bye.